guys, welcome back to Men Is Everything Okay podcast. I'm your host Ope, and we are joined by...
Hey, it's Richie again.
Hi, my name is Temi Dio. I run a platform called Man Up Initiative. I'm not going to say too much. I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for the event.
Yo, it's really good. My name is Toby, and Ope, thank you for having me as part of the conversation. Looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah, I go by the name Kenneth. That's my real name. My artist name is Shoko, which everyone knows me by, and I'm an artist from North London. And yeah, thanks for having me in this discussion, man. I'm excited.
Everyone say hi! Hi!
Hi.
In line with Mental Health Week, we will be discussing maintaining mental health during the transition back to normality. So, hi guys, how are you guys doing today? Today we want to discuss how important mental health is to you. Can we start with Toby, please?
Yeah, I guess for me, mental health is something that's very, very important. I think what you find is that there are a lot of people that wrestle with so many different things, mentally and emotionally, and especially within our community. When I say our community, I mean like Afro-Caribbean community. It's a taboo. Like we're so scared to have the conversation and address certain things, which is sad. But for me, I think on the basis of things that I've experienced and things that I know people around me have experienced, it's definitely something I want to shed some light on and engage in conversation on. So yeah, it's something that is quite dear to my heart.
So why specific is mental health important?
I think it's important because everybody has I think the mental health is this. When I look at mental health, I think of it like, all right, cool. There's mental health, same way there's physical health, and I think you can have good mental health and bad mental health. And it's not saying that you're not stable, but it's a thing of like, cool, you're not fit or you're not as in like mentally you're going through some stuff, and it's cool. Everybody's allowed to go through some things like mentally and emotionally and whatnot, but it's about, all right, cool, with regards to what I'm going through and the things I've experienced, how do I then come back in line and get myself into a place where my mind is healthy? So everybody's got a mental health state, but it's about, all right, cool, how do I now put myself in a place where my mind is healthy? Same way that, you want your body to be healthy. Same way you want, all right, cool, if I'm going to go gym, I'm going to go gym. I'm going to, bang weights and stuff like that, do running, cardio. You got your physical health and you want to keep your physical health in a good space. So how are you able to do that with your mind? And I think that is something that a lot of people are still kind of like navigating through, either consciously or subconsciously, with regards to, this issue.
I completely agree with what Toby said. I think that it's important to look at it on the same way you look at your physical health. It's pretty much exactly what you said is exactly how I feel about it. And I feel like the amount of importance that is put on your physical health should be put on your mind as well, because
100%.
Again, as he said, is ignored. People just tend to overlook. People don't, even something as little as waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is picking up your phone. You don't know the impact it has on your mind. And the only reason you don't know that is because you haven't actually paid attention to actually notice the changes and maybe stop it, let's say stop for a week, see what happens, start again, see what happens. Do you get what I mean? So yeah. I feel like I agree with him 100%.
I totally agree. I think it's extremely important. And the reason why it's so important is because our mind is our operating system. It's everything. So if that's not in check, then everything else falls below. Everything else is going to fall below as well. So that's the most important thing that we've got to have in check. So I agree with both of them.
Have you had any mental health concerns, Kenneth?
Yes, I have. I've been on a real journey. I'll go through my story now. I was in a group called Marvel. There was 3 of us. We was together for 5 years. We did a lot of things. We toured with Chipmunks, Skepta, Diversity. I don't know if you remember Diversity, the group that won Britain's Got Talent. We got signed in 2010. And then end of 2010, we lost our record deal. And then I fell into deep depression. I ended up getting sectioned and put in a mental health hospital. So I know a lot about mental health from not from a professional standpoint, but just from an experience standpoint, from someone that's actually physically experienced it in real life. So, and the reason why conversations like this is so important is because I never knew nothing about it. Like, I'm one of the man them. I live in Tottenham. You know what I mean? And I never knew anything about mental health or in that world. So this taught me going through that experience taught me a lot, and I'm still learning to this day. So conversations like this is extremely important, and they need to get had.
I've experienced things as well, and I wouldn't say it's to the point where like my brother Kenneth has experienced, where he's had to that degree. But I think for me personally, having grown up just like Kenneth in the ends, from originally from East London, and what you find is that within, like, amongst our peoples, when it comes to addressing issues like this, like there's a sense of a facade that you need to pick up. So it's like, all right, cool, I want to be part of the mandem, so I can't show any kind of weakness.
Yes,
vulnerability.
exactly.
Like, they won't get it. If I start to so there's these kind of pressures, and there's social media pressures, and, as you know, being an artist as well, it's like, all right, cool, I'm comparing myself to this person and that person, and there's the responsibilities of being a man, and there's all of these different pressures. For me, it was like, all right, cool, like I'm facing pressures from the responsibilities of being a man, from being black, from being young, from being all of these kind of things, and these social construct that I feel I have to live up to. When I was a lot younger, I was really, really slim, so I was really insecure about my weight. So that played into, like, my mental space. Having grown up a little bit more, so like the vulnerability of, right, cool, am I even, like, just my identity, and just different things like this. So it's to the point where, for me personally, there'll be days where I'll be like, all right, cool, I don't even want to get out of bed. So it wasn't like there wasn't like a specific incident. I think it was, for me, it was an ongoing thing. Like, all right, cool. Today I don't feel like getting out of bed. This week I don't feel like eating. Then there are things where, like, a lot of people who are in these kind of situations, they have, like, these emotional crutches. So what you'll find is that a lot of people have these, like, issues, and they will kind of like, okay, I want to just hide behind, go and get loads of women, or go shopping, all these kind of things. And for me, or let me use these things as, like, crutches. And I didn't know what the deeper issue was. So having to wrestle with, that on an ongoing basis was definitely something that I was kind of, like, navigating through. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm like, all right, cool, am I where I really need to be now? It's a journey, and I feel like I'm still getting there. And that's why I'm really, really on having conversations like this, because I know there are a lot of people, like, from my community, from people who've been through what I've been through, who are scared to have these kind of conversations. So I think that's just like just a brief overview of where I'm coming from, really and truly.
And I think it's a good, not saying it's a good thing that I went through it, but I understand why God kind of picked me to go through it in a weird way, is because I'm one of the man them. Do you know what I mean? So now, because of the situation that I went through, and because it was me that went through it, a lot of my friends look at mental health completely differently. Do you know what I mean? Because representation is important. Representation is so important. So because I look like them, they thought, oh shit, like, Shocks went through it, Kenneth went through it. Let me see, like, what this is really about, and look into it. And it's kind of changed the dynamic of, like, how me and my friends talk. We come in the group chat, we share everything. We never used to do that before, but now they'll DM me on a private one and be like, yo, my boy DM'd me the other day, like, we're both artists, and he was going through problems with, like, his management, and he messaged me, like, and said, yo, like, I'm not feeling too good. And I smiled, like, I was thinking, like, yo, like, things is changing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's slow progress.
Man.
It's slow progress.
You're like a spokesman for it now.
Yes.
Like, you've been to the extreme, so now guys feel comfortable to come to you and be like, I can talk to him because he's been through it all.
Yes, exactly.
In 2017, I lost my mom, and that really had a big toll on me. So I used to smoke a lot of weed before, and so when that happened, it's, similar to what Toby said. I use that as my crutch, and I just sunk myself in drugs and sex and all sorts of things, and I never actually dealt with it. And it took me a year of doing that to actually realize that, okay, you know what, this is not helping me at all, because I find that little things would trigger me, I just started getting angry all the time. Like my emotions felt heightened. If I was sad, I'll be really sad. I'll just be bawling my eyes out. If I was upset, I'll be really upset. If I was happy, I'll be really, really, really happy. You know, and when I actually faced it, and when I actually decided to, leave the vices, let go of everything, and just face what I was feeling, it helped me to understand this topic that we're talking about, mental health. I finally understood that this is what people are talking about, because when I did face it, it was a really funny thing. So how I always explain it, how I always want people to imagine it when I speak is like, imagine this vase. Let me just show you this. Imagine this vase, right? And someone breaks this vase, and you can put it together and it will look like this again, right? But essentially when I broke, I didn't put it together properly. Do you get what I mean? So I thought I was good, but I was just fragile. So any little thing, I just break again, until I actually let go of everything and, let God put me together the way he wanted to. And now I feel like I'm a lot more sound. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So for me, that was my experience that really exposed me to, the importance of what you take in and how you react to things, and just taking care of your mind in general.
Wow, that's actually really deep. In as much as we're saying that how, you don't necessarily have to be hospitalized to have any mental health concerns. Statistics shows that 1 in 4 people are affected by mental health. However, I feel like even everyone goes through it, even in small doses. We all have periods where we suffer from anxiety, or mild depression, or a lot of stress. Is about our coping mechanisms and how we get out of it. So like during the lockdown, how were you able to maintain or sustain your mental health? How did it impact you in any way, the lockdown?
For me, this has kind of been a funny one. It's made me a lot more intentional about how I treat my mind. Because shortly before I went into this, we in Nigeria started, because obviously I'm in Nigeria, as I mentioned before. So shortly before we started isolating, I attended an event about mental health and self-care, and that was the day I learned the importance of putting your mental health on the same level as your physical health. Yeah. So this isolation really forced me to implement everything I learned, and it was a bit difficult at first. And again, I think one important thing about mental health is because it's not spoken about enough, or because there isn't much awareness, on the topic. A lot of people don't notice when things are happening to them. So for example, a lot of things, like at the beginning, a few things were happening to me and I didn't even notice until I actually had to sit down. But then if I compare it to my physical weight, maybe it's because I can see it. If I'm putting on weight, it'll be obvious for me to see. If I'm losing weight, it'll be obvious for me to see. So this period is really a lot. It's made me a lot more conscious about what I do. I've started trying to meditate. I've started what do? I try to read. I go on bike rides, things like that. But at first, it was really tough. I remember I had a fight with my parents. Isolation gives you different life experiences, because like now I'm in the house with my family. Not saying I don't love my family. I love my family a lot, but like we've never been together for this long before. So at first it clashes, and it kind of affected me. That was when I realized, okay, I need to make an effort. So I guess I would say this isolation period has really made me very, very conscious about what I take in, because it's what I take in that's going to affect what I'm giving out, essentially.
Is there any like specific like techniques that you have? Maintaining
Okay, so like there's a few things I try to do. I said I exercise. Another important thing is creating a routine, so that way you're not easily distracted. You can actually focus on one thing at a time. Make a plan. Again, that's the same thing as creating a routine, actually. I talk about this isolation is to talk to people. So one thing I noticed as well is that I found myself calling people a lot more. I'm a person that calls a lot. Do you know what I mean? But I found myself. Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I can anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Thanks. So I find myself calling people, and I feel like keeping positive energy around you is very important. So
100%.
if you're around a lot of people who are always speaking negatively on your life, it's important for you to know when to distance yourself from those types of people. And something I always say, I mean, I'm sure it's common knowledge, like you can't choose your family, you can't choose certain things in your life, but you can choose your friends. So if you feel like you are around certain people and they're not adding anything to your, not, let me not say it like that, but they're not adding anything to your mental health, do you get what I mean? They're only taking and taking. You have two options. The first option is to say something and let them know, or you can just, remove yourself from that situation. And one thing that has really helped me this period is my friends and my girlfriend. So those are a few things. I mean, there's a lot more. I don't want to speak for too long, but there's a lot more, little things. I think meditating is also really good. People underestimate how good that is. Like, just try for 5-10 minutes in a day, and you'll be surprised how you actually organize your mind, in sections. It's really weird, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that protection is a big deal. Like boundaries.
What'd you say? Sorry.
Like protecting yourself, like having boundaries.
Yeah, so important.
Like, everyone's got like an like mental, emotional sort of budget. There's only so much you can spend throughout the day. Sometimes people are a bit too mentally draining to have around all the time.
I completely agree with that, man.
Richie, how important is mental health? And why would you say mental health is really important?
I think it's a massive deal because kind of importance I put on mind these days of like how your mental. To me, like law of attraction is quite a big thing. Been looking into that in recent years of like your mind and your thoughts create your whole reality. So if your thoughts, your mental is not on point, everything around you is going to be a mess.
Yeah,
so that's
definitely
so important. I've had my own issues with it as well from young as well. So I think, let's put it out there, I think as if you're black and in like European country or like a cold country, we're not getting as much sun as we should not be getting. I think by default you're going to have mental health because we're away from so much stuff. I think a few of the guys here from London, like growing up here, there's so much we're away from. So you're away from your environment. So that's, like I said, sunlight and warm. That's big for us. Culture, unless your family like big on culture, we're away from it because we're not
away from pounded yam and all of that.
Like diet,
yeah.
diet is a big thing as well because a lot of us, because if you don't have your culture, you don't know what you're meant to be eating. And I think we can put it. I think diet is a bit specific to race sometimes as well. And yeah,
I agree with that. So Kenneth, in terms of maintaining mental health, your mental health whilst in the lockdown, did you have any struggles, or how did the lockdown impact you?
Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Yeah? I think lockdown is like heaven for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually really enjoying it, and the only reason why I'm really enjoying it is because I'm an introverted person anyway. By nature, like I'm always indoors. Like as soon as this lockdown thing started happening, I started getting text messages from all my friends saying the same thing. Like, "Shucks, you're loving this. Kenneth, you must be loving this." Because like I'm an introverted person anyway. Like, I've got a philosophy. I've got a philosophy that says complete the mission and go home, and everyone knows me for that. And that's what and that's what I'm like. Like I get, is complete the mission and go home.
The mission.
I like that.
And that's what I'm like. Like I always get the job done and then I head back to my house. But it's like there's deeper reasons for it as well. Another reason is because like I'm always I'm triggered easily by what's going on around me.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't really, if that makes sense, I don't really like being caught up in, like, even everyone knows me for not leaving my house without my headphones. So it's like I can't be on a train without my headphones and get caught up in like everyone else's like conversations, and some of them might trigger me or rub me the wrong way. I don't know, it's just me. It's just my thing. So I feel this lockdown really, it's come easy to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's a really good thing. considering some people, you know, maybe an extrovert where they'd like to be out and about and be a bit.
Yes, and I've got friends like that.
Yeah.
I've got friends like that, and they're always complaining. In fact, yeah, I've got friends that's still going out like the lockdown's not happening. Seriously, like.
Don't say that aloud.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, it's the truth.
Yeah, I haven't been locking down too much, you know, because I think I might be the opposite to Kenneth. I like to be around people, be a bit more. I don't know, because I'm an only child, so I grew up
Same, bro.
alone, but I didn't really like it. So I kind of preferred when I was around people. So nowadays I try to get out and meet people, because I feel like I go in too much. When I'm by myself, I get too self-reflective, and my mind is mad. So I need other people to kind of balance it and share it. So like kind of, how do you function? Like you can function better when you're by yourself. Like,
yes.
I know you do music, so you're able to focus better if you're just by yourself.
Yeah, and like I've learned to be my own best friend. That's the game changer. Becoming your own best friend is the game changer, because if you're not your own best friend, then you can't stay alone with yourself. You really can't. You wouldn't dare it. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got to face those thoughts. But like, it's like I read somewhere, and I always say it to everyone: you need to have an interview with your thoughts instead of having an argument with your thoughts. Do you know what I mean? You're meant to have an interview. Like what we're doing now, this is like an interview. It's not aggressive. We're just talking back and forth, and that's how we should be in our minds. But people don't do that. They have like arguments, like fights. Do you know what I mean? If a negative thought pops up, it's like, no, why did that pop up? And do you know what I mean? Like, I'm comfortable with myself. Like, I'm starting to learn how to really have conversations with myself the way I have conversations with my friends. The same love I show to my friends, I'm starting to learn to show it to myself, and it's a game changer. So I don't really have problems spending time alone, to be honest.
That's really good. What about you, Toby? What was your experience like during the lockdown?
If I'm being honest with you, like Kenneth, I've enjoyed this, and I try not to say that too loud.
Yeah,
same.
I try not to say it too loud
because
too.
because I know there are a lot of people who are suffering in this time, and this is a really, really difficult period for them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to seem selfish in saying that I'm enjoying this period. I'm enjoying it, honestly speaking, because it's allowing me to be productive. It's allowing me to kind of put a few things in place.
Yes.
But then at the same time, I've got to remember that there are other people who are in the same lockdown, but they're struggling, and this is hell for them. So I try not to say it too loud. For me, I think it's creating like my brother said earlier on, creating a routine is so important. Having some sense of a routine is important. So I still find myself waking up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Like being a Christian as well, like I have my morning devotion that kind of sets up my day in a nice space. Yeah. This lockdown period, it forced me to set up my home studio, something I've been putting off for years, but now I've got no choice. Yeah. And for me, music is an outlet. Huh?
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. So set up the home studio. So now I'm like writing and recording, wake up, record. And it for me, and I think for anybody who's going through this period, you need to have an outlet. So it could be working out. For me, it's music. So I write, record, and that's my outlet. For someone else, it could be writing, it could be reading. Having some sort of an outlet allows your mind to function. It's like, you got to see your mind is like a river and not a pond. If it's a pond, the water is stagnant, and after a while it starts to stink and smell. You get fungus and all that kind of stuff. But with a river, the water's flowing, it's cleaner, it's fresher.
Yes.
So you got to see your mind is like a river. So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. Same way thoughts are coming in, especially with social media. And that's another thing I did. I took about a month and a half, forget social media. I said, nah, bun it. No, I need to protect what's coming into my mind. So I took about a month of social media. That was good for me. I'm working out a lot more at home, doing home workouts. I bought some like gym equipment, doing some stuff at home, cooking, reading. Like I'm just trying to learn online courses as well, just doing stuff to be productive. So I'm putting so much in my day. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh snap, it's 6 p.m. already. Because I'm still active, but it's just that I'm doing it within the confines of my own space. And then it's really important as well, because as human beings, no matter how introverted we may be, as human beings, we're built and we're wired for human interaction.
100%.
So ensuring that like you, at some point in your day, you phone someone, have a text conversation, or it doesn't have to be like 9 people. It's not like a 15-man Zoom call. It can literally just be like a, you know, FaceTime one of your boys, FaceTime one of your girls. Yo, what's going on? How are you? Da, 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 da. And that then also as well kind of puts you in good space. Going for walks, going for runs. Like, there's stuff that I've been doing, and there's stuff that I've been, you know, doing off the back of conversations I've had with other people, that I've kind of made sure that my mind space, because one thing I've learned is that the reason why I'm doing all of this is so that my headspace could be in a good space. Then I'm able to kind of remain in a good space. The moment I allow, but don't get me wrong, there've been days where it's been really difficult.
Of course.
But it's a balance in that, and that's one thing like I'm really glad to kind of like to have in this season.
Having that creativity, I think everyone needs, because I think we all as human beings are creative, so I think we all need like a creative outlet.
Yeah,
I think everyone's like big on like everyone's got jobs and stuff, things we have to do, but I don't know how many people find their job creative. I think, because you know the whole thing of a lot of time you have a job and you come home and you're just kind of tired and you don't want to do anything. So I feel like all your creative energy has been taken by your job during the day. When you come home, you're just finished.
I like what Toby said, you know, about productivity. And I think it's so key to have something you're doing, and not just something you're doing because you have to, but something you're doing because you want to, you know, something that actually, because I remember there was a time before I left my last job, I knew it was time when I'd wake up every day and I'd just be so upset. And that's not a way to wake up in the morning, you know, like, and, you know, in Nigeria it's different. Like, I don't wake up at, you know, if I want to get to work on time, I actually have to wake up at 5 o'clock a lot of the time. So imagine waking up at that time and you're upset first thing just because you're like, oh, I'm up now and I have to go to this, you know, this dead place that I hate, you know, things like that. So it's very important for you to actually, you know, for anyone listening, I mean, to find something you love to do, like develop something new. If you can't think of anything, then find something. Like, it's really funny, but if you think about it, we've been in the house for almost 2 months now, and this is a global thing. Everyone is at home. Like, it's not even a thing where you're at home and it's like, oh, you're slacking. Everyone is at home, so like, you actually have time on your hands to do whatever it is you want to do. Like, I also started a Harvard course as well, and I think that's something everyone should do. Just start something. Do you get? I just wanted to learn new things. Like, I'm learning video editing, I'm learning design just because of what I do, and I think things like that, you know, keep your mind busy, keep your mind working, because an idle mind is the devil's workshop, and that's just the fact. Like, if you're not doing anything, that's where all these funny thoughts are going to start creeping in. And again, the devil does attack using your mind. And it's funny how important the mind is. And like Toby also, like, I have a good relationship with God, and like, you just realize that, you know, even the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like, so important, this thing in here, like, for it to word it like that, that if you renew your mind, you're transformed, means you're new. That means that what that essentially is saying is, once you can hack it, once you can hack taking care of your mind, and once you can hack what's going in, then essentially what's coming out is going to be controlled. You get what I mean? You're gonna have complete control of how you're acting and your reactions and how you give love, how you take love. Do you get what I mean? It helps you be more organized, you know, because even me, like, that's one thing I struggled a lot with, just like being organized, because I try to do it. I'm the kind of person that tries to do a lot of things at once, and I tend to miss some things. But when I started taking these practical steps, you know, like, for example, I have my little sticky notes here, like, that I use whenever I have anything like work to do. And I never used to do that kind of thing before, but now that I'm home, I find myself organizing it on my desk. You know, what am I doing in order of how I want to do it? Do you get what I mean? And things like that really help. And again, I just want to touch on the point of identity. I think that at least for myself, when I was living with a fragile mind, it all stemmed from the fact that I wasn't completely sure of who I was. So anything anyone told me, I believe. So if anyone tells me I'm stupid, I'll just be like, wow, I'm actually such a stupid person. If anyone tells me, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that really had a big effect on me. And it was during this period at home, when I realized that, you know, it's very important for you to be assured of yourself, who are you, whatever your name is, Temidayo, who is Temidayo? Define that and then be sure of it. And that way, anything that comes that is, so like, it's like when you're building a brand, just build yourself. And it's like, you then be able to pick and choose what you let in based on how you've defined yourself. So for example, if I say I am Temidayo, I don't smoke weed, I'm Temidayo, I love football, I love FIFA, I'm essentially filtering things. Do you get what I mean? So
Yep.
when things come that are against who I am, I'm able to just push
deflect
aside
it. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. It's just gonna go the other way because it's like, anyway, that's not me, so I'm not even concerning myself with that. So I feel like people need to actually take time. Like it's a thing you need to do. It's an action thing. Like sit down, write stuff down about who you are, pick and choose things you like, things you don't like. Even if there's a lot of things you don't like, just put it there and know that you're working on it. Do you get what I mean? And then that helps you shape how you see yourself. And once you shape how you see yourself, it's like others will see you in a different way just because you carry yourself differently.
Do you know what I like doing? I think repetition is so important. And I've got on my Instagram, you can save videos on your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I've got like, if you go on my saved videos, I've got like over 20 like inspiring and motivational videos that I save that I see along my timeline. Because sometimes like people, sometimes my screen time, has everyone got a screen time on their phone that shows them their screen time?
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at my screen time and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But when I think about what I'm doing on the phone, it kind of puts me at ease because like, it's not like I'm doing nonsense on the phone. I've actually got like, if I gave you my Instagram now and you scroll through it, like you'll love it. Like it's got a balance of everything on there. It's mostly positive and inspiring. So I don't look at the screen time like I'm wasting my time. Like I've always got like stuff that's always like, there'll be days where I'm down and then I'll go on my phone and the perfect video will pop up to help me with what I'm going through that day. Do you know what I mean? So I've always got like, I'm always taking in a good intake, a good positive intake. It's so important. And obviously, sharing my experiences that I told you that I've been through, I've realized how fragile the mind is and how important it is to keep it in a positive space. So like, I make sure I always keep it in a positive space. I'm a musician as well. I just dropped a project yesterday, literally.
Oh, congrats, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, my G.
Thank you so much, man. It's called Impact Over Numbers. If you got time, you lot check that out. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes. It's doing really well. The feedback has been incredible. And it's like, music is something that I use to vent. That is literally my therapy. Like I didn't see a therapist. Remember I told you I got sectioned the whole period. I didn't see a therapist. Like, so people ask me like, how did you heal yourself? How did you recover? It's because music played a major part. Like that was where I got to vent and I got to express myself and share like my deepest feelings. And it's beautiful because it's like, one thing I noticed is that you can share any truth you have, but if there's a beat behind it, it kind of makes it acceptable. People can vibe to it as well. Whereas if you share that same truth without a beat a cappella, it becomes like you're preaching. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's probably why people are always saying, he's preaching too much, because sometimes preachers don't have beats to it. It's just a cappella and they're just going on and on. So like,
it's more intense without any music.
Yes. So music is really my therapy, and how I use my music is so purposeful as well. I use it to heal others as well. So it's not only because my music name is Shocker, and the acronym for Shocker is Spiritual Healer Others Can Know is around there. What does that mean? That means the more open I am, the more vulnerable I am. Other people around them can be more open and vulnerable just by seeing me lead by example. Hence why I'm in conversations like these, because I feel like if I tell my story, it just makes other people want to share their story because someone's stepping out. And that's the thing about society I've learned, is that someone has to step out first. Like, no one wants to go first. You know what I mean? Like, everyone hates going first. Everyone hates going first. So it's like, as long as someone steps out first and people see it's okay. That's why Kanye West is my favorite artist. As much as people might have rubbish to say about him, he wore the Donald Trump hat and he did all of this. But I just love the fact that he's that red Indian that goes over the wall all the time and comes back to tell us that it's safe on the other side. You know what I mean? So some people have those roles. And yeah, if you are that kind of person that's been given that role, and I feel like everyone in this group has been given that role, hence why we're stepping out and having this conversation in the first place, is because we feel like this is...
I'm big on guys that are like on the front line, because it sounds like, you're the people that look to, like, in the music.
Yes. So we are frontliners, not in an egotistical way, but it's just how life has been designed for us. So I feel like, yeah, it's important for us to serve in that way, man. And it's important for me to just keep stepping out and just sharing my story and just being as vulnerable and just showing people. Because when I was younger, there wasn't a lot of examples of vulnerability in men. Do you know what I mean? I've literally had to learn this. I've literally had to learn this through experience. Like, I never had a mentor that could have told me, oh man, you're thinking too much, or it's okay to speak, or it's okay to cry here. I never had none of that. I literally had to, I'm just learning from my own mistakes. And then that's why I want to be that person for someone else, that they can look at me and learn everything. And that's the beauty of the internet. Hence why I told you I've saved so much videos. And that's what's beautiful about the internet. It's online mentoring. You can learn anything. Like, I've never met Will Smith in my life, but I've learned so much. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never met the guy. Like, from Fresh Prince to Independence Day to Men in Black, I've never met him. I've seen him my whole life, and I've learned so much from him. So you can learn from people without meeting them. So, yeah.
Can I just touch on one point? Sorry, quickly, Ope.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the point on social media that you mentioned. I feel like it's a very important point. Social media is like a double-edged sword. Like, you can actually use it to harm yourself, but to also feed yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
so
just
important.
like what you're saying. Like, it's important to actually follow pages that actually that you can learn from. Do you get what I mean? Like, if you, for example, even on Instagram. Go on, bro.
That comes, sorry to cut you, that comes with identity again, which is important that
Exactly.
you mentioned that. So if you know who you are, you know what to filter out and who to follow. Do you know what I mean? Because I know wholeheartedly who I am. I've selected and tailor-made like who I follow, and do you know what I mean, and created my own world out of it. So yeah, that's an important point.
Beautiful. That's exactly where I was going, man. So that's it.
Yeah, I love that.
Social media still was a bit of a trap still.
What did you say?
Sorry, Richie, can you say that again?
I think any social media is a bit of a trap still, because you, like, kind of saying you're following a lot of these good people. So, but that's another kind of, your time will still get spent. You'll be like, I've so many good posts. It's like, oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. When you, before you know it, you spent so much time.
Yes.
I find myself on that as well. But now I try and discipline myself by saying I'm going to watch one post. Like, every time I go on like Insta, like in the morning, and I'll look at one post and that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think because we follow
yeah, that's real discipline, man.
Yeah.
If you follow so many good people, any post that you look at is going to be good anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And plus, my whole business is on there. My whole business operations on there, so I need to be on there.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different for me. Like, I built my whole fan base and everything from there, so I need to tend to it. So, but yeah, it does need to get limited. It does, because sometimes I see my screen time and I want to scream. I want to break the phone. I can't believe it.
Toby, can you relate being an artist?
Yeah, I can, and that was everything, especially life and everything I'd been through over the past 2 years was the genesis behind the project that I released earlier on this year. So I said to myself, I want to have some honest conversations with myself. And I remember I was listening to a song, and there was one line in the song that struck me, and then the artist said, "Cry like a man." I thought, yeah, that's a powerful statement.
Ooh.
And then I said to myself, all right, cool. Do you know what? Off the back of that, I want to title my EP that. So when I was making the EP, Cry Like a Man, I remember saying to myself, I'm gonna have some honest conversations with myself and just pull myself into it and just really unpack a lot of the things I wanted to unpack. So we finished the project Cry Like a Man, released it in February. Amazing, and it was the opportunity just for me to kind of deal with a lot of the things I was dealing with. And then a friend of mine, he was like, "Oh, you based your EP on the book?" I was like, "What book?" He said, "Based on the book, Cry Like a Man." He said, "No, I didn't even know there was a book."
Yeah.
And then I said, "All right, cool." A week later, he got it for me. He got me the book. So by Jason Nelson.
Bro, I've been trying to get my hands on that book, man.
Incredible reads, and it just talks about emotional vulnerability in men. So I was like, right. And when I was reading through it, like a lot of the themes that I was talking about in my EP was in the book.
Jeez.
So I was just like, right, God, is this is you really wanted me to have this discussion with the world?
Yeah.
And I remember just like listening every time I listen back to it. And it's funny because I shared this on my Insta the other day, like the journey behind one of the songs. So this is just like shows you how real mental health can be and how it is to me and how I pull myself through that situation. My art form is for me first and foremost. So there's a song on the EP called "It's Gonna Be Alright," and I remember about a week after the EP was released, the whole EP got taken down, and I was like, "This is mad. This is absolutely wild." And I remember my headspace, it just went from 100 down to 0. And I remember saying, "All right, cool. What's the point of having this project talking about like how to pull yourself through this situation if you're not even going to call upon the resources that you've created for other people?" So I remember just listening to that song, "It's Gonna Be Alright, It's Gonna Be Alright, It's Gonna Be Alright." I actually thinking to myself, do you know what? Like it's cool. Like God's got me. And I think that's another thing that keeps me at peace. Thankfully, the EP went back up, and like the numbers that we did post the second time round was like, rah, God, you were really watching my back the whole time.
Yeah.
Because like this is a message that people really want to hear. People want to hear like and people that they can relate to. Like Kenneth was saying earlier on, it's like, yo, with musicians, people understand what they're talking about because they're saying it in a language that they understand.
Yes.
Music is a universal language. You go to China, they're listening to hip hop and grime. You go to Australia, they're listening to. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's like it's the one language that's universal. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I want to share my story and I want to continue like having these kind of conversations on the music and off the music. And for me, I think that's the amazing thing that having an outlet can do, because not everybody is musically inclined. That's cool. That's not your thing. That's not your thing. But it's about finding an outlet that allows you to channel all of the stuff that you're dealing with in a positive way.
100%.
You do it in a negative way, like we mentioned earlier on about like emotional crutches. So that's why you find a lot of men, oh yeah, I'm gonna go bag pure girls, or I'm gonna go do drugs, or I'm gonna do it, because they're channeling their emotional state and the things they're dealing with in a negative way.
Yeah.
Whereas you can have individuals who are going to be positive, like, all right, cool, I'm going to go exercise, I'm going to read, I'm going to go learn a new course, I'm going to do these things. Then there's a fine line, because some people do things with a positive mindset, but then it becomes they're all in all. So people who say, okay, cool, I'm going to bury myself in my career, that's productive, but so much so that you end up using your career to mask what you're really dealing with. And I think that's dangerous. So you have to be able to sit down. That's why this whole quarantine season is so dope, because you're forced to sit down with yourself and have these honest conversations with yourself.
Yes.
Yo, what am I really dealing with? What do I really need to unpack?
Yeah.
So that's just some of the ways that for me, I mean, like how I navigate through it and like how I have navigated through it in the past. Yeah, like that's just that 1 million, really.
I think accepting this time as well, because I think, like you said, it's a quiet time now. We're having to kind of go into ourselves, but some people are fighting it. So if you fight it, you're not going to find answers. But yeah, it's a different time for. I think everyone's going through it, so we haven't been through something like this before. So
yeah,
it's a new normal after this.
I'm trying to transition back to normality at the moment. Do you have any concerns? Would you for it to go back to how it used to be, how things used to be?
I'm intrigued to see how long it's going to take for people to forget this period. Because I know, like, as human beings, I just know what we're like, man. We're really ungrateful, man, as human beings. It's sad to say that, but we are. Like, give it like 6 months, everyone's going to forget this whole period and what they learned from it. And that's why we miss things, isn't it? I understand why things have to leave before we miss it, because like we're kind of ungrateful, not by nature, but do you know what I mean? Does what I'm saying make sense? Like,
no, 100%.
You have to experience, because I think, because with you especially, because I think because you lost your freedom, I guess, for a bit, so you can appreciate losing coming back. But I think this time might be quite traumatic for the average person, so they're trying. I think like I can relate to you as well. Like I can appreciate this time and remember it.
Yeah. And I don't have much concerns though for myself. I think for a lot of people it might be difficult, especially if you don't like your job. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you know what I mean? I'm hearing a lot of people saying they really don't want to go back to work.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like that transition, like for me, like I can't wait to do shows again and get back on the road. And in fact, I'm kind of pissed because like this project I just put out, like I mean, I would have loved to do a launch party for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, or something beautiful, because it's such a beautiful project, man. If you lot listen to it, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I really poured my soul in it, and I would have loved to done something intimate to really connect with the people. So it's just stuff like that is affecting. But so I don't personally myself, I don't think it's going to be much of a hard transition for me to go back into normality. But for the average person, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult.
But the reality is, we're going to be entering a new normal. Entering a new normal, whether we want to admit it or not. Social distancing is going to be a thing, and we look at the economy. It's going to be going into a recession. In fact, we are in one. And how we're going to react off the back of these massive changes, I don't know, because large gatherings and things, I'm not to be like a Debbie Downer, but I don't see anything happening significant with regards to normality until 2020. Oh, wow.
Yeah, 100%.
2020 until 2021, and that's the sad truth. And when I say normality, like, I mean that the freedom, even in your minds as a human being, considering everything that we've been through, the freedom to go to a concert again
and not think about it.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? The freedom to go cinema again, the freedom to not have to worry about, oh, is somebody gonna cough on me and this, that, and other. Like, even if these things get up and running again, people's mindsets are gonna be like, rah, like, I'm shook, like, I'm still. People are gonna be very cautious. That kind of normality we're not gonna see until 2021 at least. And that's sad, because a lot of people are business owners. Some people are in this, they're self-employed. They're creatives. Their people's lives and their livelihoods are based on people. You know? And if people are not there, then certain jobs will not be about. Certain functions are not gonna run. So I am worried in that sense, because for me as an artist, like, my whole being, like, just like Shocker, we need people. We need people at the shows.
100%.
We need people to come out to the events. If there are no events, if there are no people, there are no events. You know what I'm trying to say? So things like that, that's on that side of things. But just in a sense of, like, going to the supermarket, I genuinely see people still doing this whole queuing up outside for the foreseeable future. Like, I see it being the new normal. So there are a lot of things that are going to be implemented. Even when we heard about the announcements the other day about congestion charging and TfL and all that kind of stuff, that's the new normal. So these are the kind of things that we just need to kind of be aware of, and kind of like prepare ourselves for. What that's going to look like in the long run, I genuinely don't know. Don't know.
How can we, as the Black community, help with assisting with, mental health, people who go through mental health, concerns or illnesses?
Yeah, so I think the important thing is just to have the conversation. That's the most important thing. Like, I at least one thing that I always say that gives me the most excuse me, that gives me the most comfort is that we are already in a much better position than our parents when they were at our age, because I can guarantee you nobody then was having this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, if you just look at them, the things that they struggle with now, you see that we already surpassed them in that way. So there's a lot of hope. And I feel like conversations like this, platforms like this, just people being more educated about the importance of acknowledging, the state of your mind is probably going to be the key to, making mental health a normal thing. Same way people talk about going to the gym I feel like that should be the same way anyone can mention their therapist. I know a lot of people who are comfortable with telling me they're going to therapy because I run Man Up, but they're not comfortable telling their closest friends that they're, doing therapy, just because they feel like they'll be seen differently. And the funny thing about thinking like that is you'll be so surprised, and this is what I tell a lot of people, that you'll be so surprised that you're afraid of telling your friends these things, but when you do open up, you'll be surprised the reaction is going to be different to what you were expecting. Your guys, your man, them are actually going to welcome you with open arms and be like, bro, you're right. You get what I mean? They're not going to laugh at your problems because they're your friends. And if you do have friends that laugh at your problems, then they're not really your friends. You get what I mean? So it's something that we need to just keep talking about, and eventually it's just going to become normal. I think that's how that's how culture, is put in place. That's just what I think.
Richie, I want to come to you. Is there anything that we can do as a community in support of mental health?
I think just that, yeah, that transparency of just being more open to talk about it, not feeling ashamed or any sort of guilt. It's like Kenneth and Dale was saying as well. The more you talk about it, the more people you'll attract people that are going through it as well. So then we can all start conversations and fix it.
Okay, so now we're going to round up and just go and talk about where people can go to get support for their mental health concerns. Can I start with you, Kenneth?
Do you know what? I'm bad with this because I never actually went to any organizations myself, but I know that there's a lot of good ones out there. So what I would say is don't be afraid to ask. Do you know what I mean? Because asking is, so speaking is, it all comes down to speaking at the end of the day, and someone will direct you in the right place that you need to go to. So I would say don't be afraid to ask where you need to go to and who you need to speak to, and you'll get pointed in the right direction.
Because I was going to ask you as well, because you were saying, because when you got when you were inside, like, you didn't get any therapy.
No, I had an intervention team that came to see me like twice a week, or I had to go to see them. That went on for like a couple months, and that was the most I got. But like, they was even shocked by how I pulled through and turned everything around. But that's because I did extra things on the side. Do you know what I mean? Most people just depend on the system. I actually took it upon myself to say, no, I need to go into my mind and I need to like figure things out. Do you know what I mean? I need to face it and sort it out. Do you know what? I always use the analogy of like our minds are like messy bedrooms. And it's like, you just need to go in there and clean it up. But the reason why people don't want to clean it up is because they're scared of what they're going to see. But the reason why the bedroom analogy is so important is because when you see like an old picture that makes you cringe in your bedroom, you don't feel like away. You just look at it and laugh because you know it's just something from the past, and then you just put it to the side. And then when you see something you do like in your bedroom that you haven't seen in a while, you keep that. And that's what I did. I just went in there and said, oh, okay, this was the belief system that was holding me back. Okay, this was the self-image that I thought about myself that made me so depressed. Okay, this was, do you know what I mean? I just started sieving through everything and just cleaned up the messy mind.
Did you have like tools? Did you have like use like books or?
I did. I had a book. I had a book from a woman called Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life. I don't know if any of you don't know who she is. If you don't know who she is, we're in quarantine, we're in lockdown. You've got all the time in the world. Go on YouTube and type Louise Hay. She is incredible. Completely changed my life. Like, I still watch her to this day. Like, I'm still not over it. I'm still watching her videos every single day. And yeah, she's like a self-love activist. So what she specializes in is self-love. And then the moment you watch her videos, you start to realize that the majority of our problems comes from lack of self-love. That is like 98% of it. We have not been taught how to love ourselves at all. And then, so yeah, if you've got time, check that woman out. And yeah, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of books quickly, because from what Temi Dare was saying as well about the devil makes work for idle thumbs, that whole saying. And one book that I liked was Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's like, he basically talks about how the devil is just distraction. Anything that distracts you from what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Is what we need to pay attention to.
What I would personally suggest, so there's a charity that I did. So I did a couple of years ago. I did a charity run for a mental health charity. They're called CALM, CALM, Campaign Against Living Miserably, and they're a charity that specialize in mental health specifically for men. So that's one organization that do some great work, and I've done some stuff for in the past. Me personally, when I went for my own counseling, I went through my GP. So if anybody's going through anything, what you can do, you can go through the GP. Go see your GP. They'll give you an assessment, and then they can refer you to get some treatment through the NHS. So that's another thing that somebody else could do. You can also go private, which can cost a little, because whereas if you go through the NHS, it is free. But some people want to go for private counseling, which I strongly recommend as well. There are a few people, there's many outlets. I have one of my best friends is a counselor. So I'm fortunate. I just recommend, my friend and but whatnot. But there are many people that many resources and outlets out there. And yeah, I would just say just generally don't be afraid to have conversations with people that you can genuinely trust. and people who can understand you, and people who you know that if I pour myself out to them, they're going to get me. They're not going to judge me, and I can be 100% real with them. So that's my my 2 cents.
Right, Timmy Dale.
Okay, the only thing I'm gonna add that is different, I guess, is like I think you can make use of a lot of phone services. You know, just because we're isolating right now, people might not be able to go out, but there are a few platforms that actually run, you know, kind of anonymous therapy sessions where you can actually just call in and have a chat with someone who doesn't know you, but the person is actually a licensed therapist. Do you know what I mean? They can't see your face, but you can just have a conversation. That does tend to make a lot of people more comfortable, because I'm sure you can imagine there's already a general stigma on how mental health is viewed, but in Nigeria it's like heightened by like 10 times. You get what I mean? So here it's not even a thing. Like there's a mental health hospital in a place called Yaba, and they call it Yaba Left. That's the nickname for it. Do you get what I mean? So it's not even a place where you can say, "Oh, I'm going there," because it's like you're going to Yaba Left. As per like, you know, that's already how it's seen. So the stigma here is a lot. So things like that do help. It does help a lot of people. I mean, I am an advocate for being proud of, you know, the state of your mind and acknowledging who you are, you know, with that encompassing who you are as well. But I just feel like for the sake of isolation, like it's something that a lot of people should do, you know, find something to do. And again, as Toby said, talk to people. Like it's probably the best and cheapest form of therapy. Talk to your friends.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what they've been through. You know, I mean, also for those who, I mean, have good relationship with their parents, talk to your parents as well. You'll be surprised as well the amount of wisdom that's in their heads just from what they've experienced. So those two things are probably just what I'll add to that.
Richie, would you like to add anything?
As in, like, so we're talking about resources.
Yeah.
I'm big on like empowering people to kind of help themselves. I know Kenneth done a lot of like, it sounds like you did a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
But I'm all for the services, because sometimes you're at that point where you just need someone to talk to, or some sort of service, but only up to a point, because when you hear about people going to therapy for years and it's like you're not really fixing anything. So I feel like you need it for a bit to kind of make you, because from my own experience of like going to therapy, it made me stop and look at what was happening. Because a lot of times you're just in life, just getting on with things, and you've got to go here, job, whatever. So you don't take time to be like, actually, there's something wrong. There's an issue there. So therapy makes you stop and actually talk about it. Yeah. And then once you're at that point, you can actually look into it. Okay, so how can I fix it? And we're in the information age now, so we've got a lot of resources. There's books. There's a lot of people online. I mentioned again because there was a webinar we did the other day. I mentioned a couple of people that have been helpful to me, like online, because I'm on YouTube quite a lot, because I get a lot of advice from people. So Sadhguru was one. He's a G. Like that kind of, your kind of peace of mind and making connections, trying to figure stuff out. And Dan Pena, if you need that kind of fire under you to kind of just make things happen. He's a G too. You just need to make a move and do something. And you might be thinking about it like, will it go wrong, or what's going to happen? Sometimes you need, I like to watch him to kind of give you a kick.
Thank you guys so much for the information that you have provided. Thank you so much for coming on the platform and sharing your experiences. And hopefully we can share more information in our community and, you know, make people more aware of what's happening. Thank you so much, guys.
Nah, no problem, man.
Yeah, thank you as well, bro. You guys are doing amazing, honestly.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a good evening, guys. We appreciate you.